Welcome, dear viewer. The show is the medical missionary work, the gospel of healing, strengthening, and blessing. And these issues that we are talking about, they are sensitive, but they are very, very important because marriages are breaking down. Our health is really deteriorating, and we have to take good care of our health, good care of our marriages. We have to remain together as a family. Now, we have issues that we are handling here, and before we went for a short break, dadangu Agatha uliweza kutaja kwamba wanaume waweze kuvaa suruali ambazo ni si tight sana.
Si tight na si loose.
Si loose. Sasa unajua kuna swali moja ambalo wanaume wanauliza na nadhania kwamba umeweza kuona tulipokuwa katika mapumziko kwamba pana maswali mengi zaidi ambayo yanazidi kutirika hapa ndani ya kwamba sometimes when you use these loose boxers or whatever, things might go out of proportion as a man, and sometimes when it's cold, there is a misbehavior of the private parts of men. So what happens? And we still need to walk, we still need to do other things out there.
Hakuna misbehavior of private parts.
Thank you so much.
Hakuna. It is what you eat. Especially ukikula animal product, you are making your hypothalamus brain, the uncivilized brain, to be high kuliko the power of will, ambayo it is the frontal lobe. So ukikula those things, they will stimulate your body. How? Utasikia all the time, you are sexy. You dress sexy, you feel sexy, you are need for sex all the time.
And there is this claim out there that you are sexy, you are hot.
Yes, because of what you are eating.
Fashion.
Yes, fashion. So, especially, I go back to number 5, ile swali ulikuwa umeuliza, rudia. Because kuna kitu hapo
a premature ejaculation, and it's affecting my relationship. What can you advise?
Especially, mwanaume kabla hajaoa, kuna ile siri wanaume ama vijana, ama pia mwanaume kama ameshaoa, anafanya katika either chumba chake cha ndani, ama kwa bathroom, anafanya kitu ambao wanaita masturbation. Natumaini daktari atazungumzia kuhusu masturbation, ambao pia ni chanzo kubwa sana ya ejaculation, inakuwa very poor. Yes. Alafu jinsi ambavyo wanaendelea kufanya tu hiyo masturbation, wengine pia wanakuwa na hii penis yao inakuwa kidogo kwa sababu anatumia nini? Mafuta kujifanyia yeye mwenyewe. Ambapo pia ina affect. So kama anataka kufanya ngono, atafuta mwanamke. Ndio maana pia Adam aliweza kupewa nini? Mwanamke.
Lakini wakati muda haujafika, hajaoa. Afanye nini?
Akule vizuri. Akikula vizuri, hii shida haitakuweko. Hataweza kufanya hii masturbation ambao wanaume wanafanya. Hawataweza kufanya. Kwa sababu kila ambacho unachokula ndivyo pia wewe utakavyokuwa. Ukikula animal product ama vyakula ambavyo hatukuagizwa na Mwenyezi Mungu tukule pale awali, lazima shida itakuweko. Yes.
Doctor,
masturbation is having sexual intercourse without the couple. So you're trying to to have sex without a woman, and you're committing adultery. I mean, if you would try to put it direct in the commandments of God, you are committing fornication. And you are doing it to satisfy yourself, but while you are breaking down yourself. Because you are trying to pray the law of the opposite sex in order to, to satisfy yourself. And I believe the reason is food contributes, but one is ignorance of the will of God. We need to remember that we are in a foreign state. Always we love sin. Always we love to go for fornication. And you'll not stop because sexual appetite, I believe it is a blessing that God has given to us. You can imagine you get married and you don't have sexual urge or sexual appetite. So, but when we forget to control our bodies, then we sin against God. So what I would also wish to encourage the viewer is that we have studied the word of God. We have to call upon Jesus Christ because he says, without me, you can do nothing. And I know there are many youths who are struggling with masturbation. It is an addiction that only the grace of God can help us to come out. Unless Christ breaks that addiction. Of course, you have a role to play. You have to eat the right foods. Go back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, Genesis 3:18, because it will reduce the clamors of the foreign nature of our bodies not to be so urged into sexual activities and all that. And again, where you get a challenge, then you need to seek advice from a religious experienced person, especially one who understands the faith and who understands Jesus Christ, so that you can be prayed for. Because when it is sin, it will lead you into hell in case you are doing it. And even those who are married, you don't need to masturbate. Because very interesting is that even married people, they commit fornication.
Yes.
They commit
do
adultery.
Yes,
Married
yes.
couples.
Oh.
Yes. So it's really very, very important. It is a serious evil. It affects us health-wise. It actually draws the vitality of the brain, that actually people who masturbate, they are spiritually dormant. Because there is a chemical which is drawn from the brain, which lowers the capacity of the brain to comprehend spiritual things and even to be morally upright. And you realize that people who do this, they always behave like ladies. It's very bad.
Yes. Na kuongezea hapo, hiyo masturbation ndio chanzo ya liver problem, chanzo ya kidney failure, na chanzo pia ya pancreas, shida ya pancreas, just because of masturbation.
For sure.
How?
Because as they do masturbate, you realize when it comes to family life, for instance, after the sexual intercourse, you realize that both the couples will be weak. Do you know why? Have you ever suffered from malaria?
Yeah.
You want to raise the arm, you cannot.
You can't.
Because your vitality is really down. And vitality, it is the power that expels out diseases from the system. So you can imagine all the vitality that is supposed to be replenishing the liver as an organ, the kidneys and all that, is being drawn into masturbation, is being wasted. So eventually we suffer diseases which even we doctors conventionally we cannot explain how they happen. And why? It's because we are going contrary to the will of God.
Now, I need to ask this question. I just want to believe, I'm not sure, but I want to believe that this problem of lacking pleasure in sex can be caused by other things other than what we have talked about. Maybe it's, I don't know, should I say natural or some other things. How can we increase it amongst married couples, men, women alike? What can we do?
Yes, as we answer this, we should not increase it in order to be tempted.
No. I'm just talking about these people who lack it completely.
Yeah,
And it's important in marriage.
on that point, there's something we need to appreciate. Very simple. Every cell depends upon glucose. So should you feed on fermented foods? Fermented foods, they reduce glucose. That's why God condenses it. Because there will be no fruitfulness. You get a point?
Yeah.
You'll be weak. Your reproductive organs, they're going to be weak. Why am I stressing this? Because I've met many cases. They're all my friends, but as they share, you really see the sorrow and the grief. And because these things are so private, people are really bored down. They are praying to God, but there's something wrong happening within their lives. So we must take away fermented foods and we must eat fresh foods. I would encourage, especially people who are living in the cities, do not cook food and keep it in the freezer for more than 3 days. I will explain that more when we'll be dealing with cookery or cooking classes. Why? Because sometimes food develops mold, even in a freezer, a deep freezer. And mold is fungus. Fungus is a decomposer when you consider the food chain, which breaks down the body system because every cell depends upon glucose. Yes.
Now, there's something here before we finish this program, before we come to the end. 2 questions, very important.
And that glucose should be natural.
Should be natural. Yeah, that's important to note. Now, another question here. My wife is on copper tea as a contraceptive. For 7 months, she experiences pain during intercourse, despite yeast treatment. Please help. Is the coil responsible?
Indeed,
Copper tea.
Indeed, it is her, what she did, what is responsible. The coil is a foreign body in the system. And I believe we'll one day talk about, family planning and all that. Not condemn, but show people the reality and what they ought to use. And maybe as she's going to comment about briefly. yes, it is responsible because it is not a natural substance within the system. That's one point we really have to mention and to be aware of. Yes, she can add something.